India has been playing a significant role in rebuilding Afghanistan, but peace remains elusive. With the Taliban gaining ground in that country, it still controls 40% of Afghanistan. Today, for the first time ever, India has joined talks with the Taliban in a bid to end the war in Afghanistan. India is one of the 10 countries attending the second Moscow conference. Here's more on the state of play at these talks.
The Russian capital is witnessing the latest attempt to end the conflict in Afghanistan. The long-awaited peace summit is being held after many delays. The event, opened by Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, has delegations from the government of Afghanistan and 11 other countries, including India. These deputy foreign ministerial level talks organized by Russia also has leaders from the Taliban in attendance. It's the first time ever that the Taliban's political wing, based in the Qatari capital of Doha, is participating in a peace process. Putting speculations at rest, India announced that it is indeed participating in the summit, but at a non-official level, and that it supports all efforts at peace and reconciliation in Afghanistan. India's Minister of External Affairs, Sushma Swaraj, confirmed the country's participation in the multilateral peace talks.
It was decided by the Government of India that our participation will be at the non-official level. In our policy on Afghanistan, which we have articulated and which has been consistent for quite some time now, that we will be supportive of any process in Afghanistan, where Afghanistan is a participant, they are party to that process, and they also have a stake in the process, which means that any process which is Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-driven.
Taliban spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid has said, and I quote, "Taliban's political envoys will attend the meeting, but the participation does not mean they will hold talks with anyone. This is a meeting to debate the current situation in Afghanistan," unquote. This will be the second time the Russian government is attempting a peace process for Afghanistan by bringing regional powers together. Moscow had proposed to hold the multilateral summit in September this year, but the meeting was postponed at the last moment after Afghan President Ashraf Ghani rejected the invitation on the grounds that talks with the Taliban should be led by Kabul. This time around, a 4-person delegation from the country's High Peace Council has been sent to attend the meet. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And joining us now is WION's correspondent in Moscow, Dan Ashby. Good evening, Dan. It's a significant first, but there's a fair bit of skepticism given the fact that the Ashraf Ghani government is not part of these talks that are aimed at exploring peace in Afghanistan.
Yes, it is an unprecedented step in a way, as you've said there, because they've got two sides in a sort of fashion around a table. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, coming out saying this was a true chance for peace and that they should keep in mind the hopes of the Afghanistan people. But as you rightly say, the Kabul government itself was not here today. It was the HPC, the High Peace Council, which is a reconciliation body which is backed by the government, but it's not the government itself. And the Taliban made it clear that these weren't direct negotiations between the two sides. They are still not prepared to do that with the Kabul government. And of course, the US wasn't really here in Moscow in a huge capacity. So an initial symbolic step, but not substantive talks yet.
And what role is India expected to play? The government has sent former diplomats and not official representatives. Nonetheless, it's a departure from the past for New Delhi.
Yes, exactly. India coming in an observation role, as other countries have done. Their statement was interesting today because they mirrored some of the words which the Kabul government has said all along, saying that this process has to be driven by the Afghan people. It has to be led by Afghanistan. And I think Kabul were quite irritated with Moscow in a way because they felt that they were left out a little. They didn't play a leading role in these talks. And these Moscow-inspired peace talks have been a bit of a sideline to the US efforts, which are, of course, closely aligned with the Afghanistan government. So I think India playing a safe hand and saying that it will do what it thinks is right for the Afghan people.
And what is Russia expecting out of this?
Well, for Russia, at the moment, this is win-win because it's just another example of where they are flexing their new superpower muscles, if you like, showing that they are much more influential than they were, say, 15 years ago, and just getting these key peace talks that are so crucial to the region, outflanking the US on this example, being the first superpower to get two of the sides together in a fashion. So they want to show that they are important to the region in helping run the region, helping solve the region's problems. But also it's a way to sort of turn a shoulder to the US. They want to see the US troops out of Afghanistan more than anyone else, perhaps. So there are some of Russia's interests at heart when they called these talks here in Moscow.
We'll wait for the outcome. Dan Ashby, thanks very much for joining us from Moscow this evening.